Indiana Pacers have acquired all-star forward Pascal Siakam in a trade that sends Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 first-round draft picks to the Raptors on Wednesday. Part of a separate trade, the Pelicans sent Kira Lewis Jr., a 2024 second-round pick to the Pacers, and then shipped Lewis to the Raptors. Let's see. 2 first-round picks going to the Raptors are for 2024. Indiana's own selection, and the lesser of Utah, Houston, LA, Oklahoma City pick, while the third is for 2026 from Indiana. Okay? So that was a blockbuster trade. One of the moves that, honestly, the NBA world has been waiting for is, where is Pascal Siakam going? Okay? I think Pascal Siakam is 30? Is he 30? Yeah, Pascal Siakam is 29, going to be 30 in like 2-3 months. And he has been on a team that, quite frankly, doesn't they don't fit his timeline. They don't fit his timeline. Quite frankly, the Pacers don't too, but we'll get into that in a second. He wants to be in a better situation where, you know, he can compete better compared to Toronto. He wants to play with better players, from my understanding. And it could just be I want to be in a new environment. You know, this dude has given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, first 8 years of his career to Toronto. Integral part of their championship team in his 3rd season in the league. Best player in a couple successful years. So Pascal Siakam has done a lot for the Raptors franchise. And they just deemed it was time for him to move on. And that destination ended up being the Indiana Pacers for 3 first-round draft picks and Bruce Brown and Jordan Nwora. So, for me personally, let's talk about the Raptors first. I really like this move for the Raptors. I ain't gonna lie. Not that what they got in return was this crazy return. But I do feel like the Raptors are kind of like the Wizards last year, right? They had a lot of players that just don't fit the timeline. The pieces don't fit together. We see the end of the tunnel. It's time to blow it up. Let's blow it up, because this shit is not going anywhere. So them moving away from the Siakam, OG Anunoby era, letting go of Fred VanVleet in free agency last season, or not even letting go, but, you know, not re-signing him. I think they're moving into a new era, right? Led by Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and a couple other pieces. I believe Gary Trent is like under 25 too. So let's look at the roster real quick. So Scotty Barnes is 22, RJ Barrett is 23, Emmanuel Quickley is 24, Gary Trent is 25. If you want to count Grady Dick as part of that core, you can go ahead and do it. But I really like what the Raptors are doing, in terms of building something around a young core, a promising young core, and building some sort of new identity there. You know, they are moving away from the 2019 Raptors era, the Nick Nurse, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam era, into a new era of Toronto basketball, and I love that for them. You know, they're not being stagnant. They're taking moves to the right direction, and I like that for them. I do think the bigger conversation here is about the Indiana Pacers, right? So the Indiana Pacers gave away Bruce Brown, which I was low-key surprised, but not really, because I was very high on Bruce Brown going into the season. But so far, he could be better. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was going to be a much more integral part to the Pacers, but that just hasn't been the case. I thought he was going to be like a top 3-4 player for them, to be honest with you, but Tyrese has been better. Miles Turner has been better. Buddy Hield, Benedict Mathurin have been better. And especially if Pascal Siakam is on the board, I understand why they take that risk. So yeah, they received Pascal Siakam, And I also think it's important to understand Pascal Siakam's contract situation, because Pascal Siakam, after the end of this season, is a free agent, right? He is a free agent. And if we go back here, it does say, let's see. I thought it said he was pretty open, but I've heard and seen a couple tweets saying that he's pretty open to staying in Indiana. But at the end of the day, hey, put it down on a contract, buddy. Right? Put it down on a contract. So the question with this deal is, did the Pacers make the right move or the wrong move? And me personally, I think overall, it's not a home run deal, in my opinion. It's not a home run deal. It does not move the needle for them from being a 6-7 seed to like a championship contender. It's not one of those moves. However, given what they gave up, and what this could potentially be, I personally think it's a decent move. If I were to grade it, I would grade it like a B minus. I have been very adamant on this platform lately that you cannot win being led by a point guard, right? And I still do believe that. I think if you're building around Tyrese, I'm sorry, he's not a Steph Curry type of talent. And I don't think you can win a championship with Tyrese leading the helm. But I can't look at every single team and just base their judgments and their reasoning as to how they want to build their franchise just based off of that. Not every team can be a championship contender. Not every team should be a championship contender. At the end of the day, push comes to shove. When the Indiana Pacers got Tyrese Halliburton last season, they found their franchise point guard. Not only did they find their franchise point guard, they found their franchise player. The player that they are going to build around for the next couple of years. Now, will it pan out to be a championship team? I personally don't believe so. But this is their guy. This is their guy. They've dedicated resources to maximizing this guy's potential and trying to maximize his era in Indiana, whether we like it or not. And I think in that case, I don't think Tyrese has peaked. But I just don't think you can win with a point guard leading the helm. Specifically a defense, because I understand Tyrese is a relatively, not relatively, he is a big guard, but he's pretty ass defensively to the point where that point of having a big guard doesn't really matter for Tyrese. But yeah, Tyrese is their guy. They are right now, hold on, let me pull it up. Right now, they are the 7th seed, right around the 5-7 mark, really 4 to 7 mark. And I do think this is a deal that should push them up closer to 4 or 5, maybe battle for 3. But they should stay at around this area right here. Again, closer to 4 and 5. Pascal Siakam is a player that fits very well with their current roster. I think he fits very well with Tyrese Halliburton. And like what I was saying earlier, they found their guy. Tyrese is their guy. And this is very similar to the Knicks with Jalen Brunson. Even though Jalen Brunson came after Julius Randle, I understand that, but just hear me out. This is very similar, and I think this is more similar to the Sacramento Kings with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. They found their guy. They need a number 2. This is a franchise that, in my opinion, is just content with being competitive every single year, with providing their fans with good basketball. Similar to a Portland Trail Blazers, similar to a Sacramento Kings, similar to a, I don't even know, like a Dallas Mavericks, I guess, right? They're just content with being a good team and providing their fans with good basketball. And they found their number 2 in Siakam. He fits very well with this core that they have right now. This is also a franchise that historically has not been a free agency destination. And this is just the life of being a mid-market team. You will have to make moves through the trade market. You will have to make risky moves and try to, court players with deals like this, similar to the Oklahoma City Thunder when they got Paul George, because I think the Oklahoma City Thunder got Paul George during the trade deadline, I believe. I'm already forgetting the timeline there, but essentially, the only way the Oklahoma City Thunder get a player like Paul George is if they trade for a player like Paul George, right? And their only chance of retaining a player like Paul George is essentially forcing a player like Paul George to a franchise so that they can show him that this could be a home for him. This is a franchise that would love him if he stays here, so that going into free agency, he has that frame of mindset going into free agency instead of just being another name on the table. So with the Pacers, let's get Siakam for the rest of the season. Hopefully we can make some noise going into free agency, where we already have that established connection with Siakam. And hopefully, and I also believe out of all the teams that Siakam could go to, I do believe the Indiana Pacers provide him with the biggest opportunity to have the biggest role on a competitive team. And if we're talking about comfortability and role being the two main things for Pascal Siakam, I do think the Pacers positioned themselves well to re-sign Pascal Siakam. Shout out to Nolan for the resub. Appreciate you. And I don't think we need to overthink this, This is a move that doesn't push them over the top or anything like that, but this is a move that does improve this team. And they got their number 2. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. I think it's a great trade for both teams, to be honest with you. I think it's a great trade for both teams. Even if the Pacers never end up winning a championship with Pascal Siakam or Tyrese Halliburton, I think the worst case is if Pascal leaves in free agency. But I also think even though they gave up 3 first-round draft picks and Bruce Brown, I don't think they gave up too much for it. And I think it's one of those moves that is worth the risk. Because again, like who is gonna sign with Indiana, right? But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.